Hello students, today we will start our next topic of the chapter, that is pastoralist in modern world. And in the last or previous class we have discussed how the lives were changed of pastoralists during the colonial period. So many restrictions were put, no doubt in that, and how we have seen that lives were changed dramatically. So now we'll see that during that particular situation, how the pastoralists they could cope up with these changes, or rather we should say those changes, how they could live with these type of restrictions that were put by the colonial government in the form of forest laws. So pastoralists, they have reacted to these changes in many ways. Some reduced their number of cattle in their herds since there was no even enough pasture to feed them. So this was a major problem. Once the pasture land that was started reducing, naturally some of them they have reduced their number of cattle in their herds. Others discovered many new even pastures. They have discovered many new pastures when the movement that was to old grazing ground lands become difficult. When they were not finding the old grazing lands, then they have started discovering new grazing lands. So for example, after 1947, the camel and sheep herding Raikas in Rajasthan, they could no longer move in Sindh area and then graze their the camels on the bank of Indus River. Why? Because of that partition, that land went into Pakistan. So the new political boundaries between India and Pakistan stopped this movement. Then what happened with the Raikas? They have discovered, they have found new places to go. In the recent time, mostly these peoples are migrating to Haryana. Mostly they are migrated to Haryana, where they can graze their herds, that is sheep and goats, on the agricultural field. On the agricultural field after the harvests were cut down. When the crops were harvested and fields were almost empty, that time these people they were allowing their herds or their animals to graze in those fields. So that was the time the fields were manured, and even that was provided by the animals. So this was the system. Even after independence in India it happened. Over the years, some richer pastoralists, what they have done, they have started buying the land and settling down, giving up their nomadic life. So this was the another impact of these changes, that many rich pastoralists they have started buying the land, and then they have started settling down by giving up the nomadic life. Some become settled peasant, they were cultivating the land, and others took more extensive trading. Others, what they have done, others they have started doing the business. Many poor pastoralists, so in this case many poor pastoralists on the other hand, they have borrowed money from money lenders for their survival. So this was another impact, or this was the another situation that was created in the category of poor pastoralists. They started that borrowing the money from money lenders for their survival. And that time they lost their cattle, sheep, and becomes laborer. So because of that only, they lost their all cattle and sheep and goats, and they have become laborer, working on the fields, and sometimes they move in small towns also. So this was the condition of some of the rich pastoralists and some poor pastoralists. Yet again, the pastoralists, they were not only continuing their survival. In many regions, their number that started expanding also in the recent decades. Somewhere, some pastoralists, they were struggling for their survival, but in some of the area, the number of pastoralists that was expanded. When the pasture land in one place that was close to them, that then they were changing the direction of their movement. So in that case, when they were finding that the pasture land that is exhausted or that is no more existing, then they were changing their movement or even direction of movement. And even they were reducing their herd size also. And then they were combining pastoral activities as well as that farming activity also. And even some were doing some business also. So many ecologists believe that in dry region and in the mountain pastoralism that still ecologically that was most viable from the life. So in that case, in some of the areas still the pastoralist number that was expanding. So such changes were not only experienced in some of the communities in India, but in other part of the world also, these things that were occurring or happening. So we will study or we will read about some of the pastoralist community in Africa, especially South Africa. So let's move to African countries where the half of the world pastoralist or pastoral population that was living in alone African continent. Even today, if we see the data, over 22 million Africans depend on some form of pastoral activities for their survival. This is the data. Even today, we can see over 22 million Africans, they are depending on these pastoral activities. So they include the communities like Bedouins, Berbers, Masai, Somali, Boran, and Turkana. These are the different pastoral communities living in African continent. Most of them, they were living in semi-arid grassland or even arid deserted area where rain-fed agriculture that was very difficult. So these people were living in this type of semi-arid or even that is arid deserted area where agriculture was quite difficult because hardly rainfall that occurs in that area. So what they were doing, they were raising cattle, camels, goats, sheep and donkeys, and even they sell the milk, meat, animal skin, then even wool. Some of them were even earning through trade and even transport also. So that was the life of people in that particular pastoral communities in African countries. And some were combining these pastoral activities with agriculture also. Still, still others were doing some even variety of job for as a, or you can say, supplement to their income. So this was the life in the African countries of pastoralists. Then in this chapter we will discuss about the one of the community, and that is of Masai. See, Masai, different changes that uh, at the part of one pastoral community that was Masai. In some detail we will see. Masai cattle herders live primarily in the East Africa. Some 3 lakhs. 3 lakhs in southern Kenya and another 1 lakh 50,000 that is in Tanzania. This was the distribution of Maasai community in Kenya as well as in Tanzania. Then we will see some new laws and regulation, new rules and regulation that were made for them, and in that way some restriction that were put on their movement. So this, no doubt, this affect their life also, especially in time, in the particular drought, in the particular times of drought, and in this way their life that was reshaped. So if we see again in African country also, in African countries also, some colonial power, they have occupied most of the area in that African continent, and in that way how the people or the pastoralist people, they were, their lives were affected. So one of the problem of Maasai that they have faced in the continuous loss of their grazing land. So this was the problem for Maasai community, that continuously there was a loss of grazing land for them. Before the colonial times, Maasai land that was stretched over the vast area from North Kenya to the steppes of North Tanzania. That was the vast area where this Maasai land was just spreading. In the late 19th century, European imperial powers that they have just disturbed the territorial area of African continent. So in the late 19th century, then uh, European imperial powers, they have occupied maximum area of African continent, and they have made many regions like in many colonies that they have divided the whole African continent. In 1885, Maasai land that was cut into half with an international boundary between British Kenya and German, that is Tanganyika. That was the you can say international level, that area was divided into two parts. Especially we talk about Maasai land. Then subsequently, the best grazing land that gradually taken over by the white settler, and Maasais were pushed into a small area of South Kenya and North Tanzania, where hardly the rainfall occurs, and that area was almost arid zone. Because of that, even agricultural activities that were also very difficult. From the late 19th century, what happened? From the late 19th century, the British colonial government in East Africa, they have encouraged the local peasants to expand the cultivation. So in that particular late 19th century, British colonial government, what they have encouraged in the East Africa to the local peasants, that they should expand the cultivation. So as the cultivation expanded, naturally pasture land that was reduced, and because the pasture land that was converted into cultivable field. So in the pre-colonial time also, Maasai pastoralists, they were dominating in that particular agricultural neighbor, and even in both economically and politically also. So before the colonial period in Africa, these Maasai land people or these Maasai pastoralists, they were dominated in that particular area economically as well as politically also. But by the end of colonial rule, the situation that had reversed. So because of that colonial rule, that was situation was quite changed. Then the large area of grazing land in that particular area, that was also turned into game reserves like the Masai Mara and Samburu National Park in Kenya and Serengeti Park in Tanzania. So that part again by the British, that you can say British colonial period, that land was converted into game reserves like some of the national park that were made in that particular period. So pastoralists, they were not allowed to enter in these reserves area. So what happened? Even they could not even hunt the animals, or even they could not graze their herds in these areas. That were the restrictions put by colonial government. So very soon, or rather very often these reserves were the areas that had traditionally been regular grazing ground of Maasai land. So whatever the area that were converted into the game reserves, that were traditionally the grazing land for these Maasai people. Then this Serengeti National Park, for instance, that was created over 14,760 kilometers of Maasai grazing land. So maximum grazing land of Maasai community that were converted into either cultivable land or in the game reserves area. So that was the story in that particular countries or the particular areas in Africa. So what happened in that, the loss of finest grazing land and even water resources, sorry, that has created the pressure on the small area of land that Maasai were, that is confined within that particular area. Whatever the land was available with the Maasai people, there was a pressure on that particular land, because the finest grazing land and water resources that were continuously in decline mode. So in that continuously grazing within a small particular area, that means there was a deterioration in the quality of pastures. So in a particular land, if pressure is more, then what happens? There is a pressure, then because of that, the quality of that particular pasture that is declined. So fodder was always in short supply. Then for feeding the cattle, that has become very big problem for those people. So this is about the particular situation that arrived in some of the area of Maasai land in African continent. So I think this is enough for today. Rest we will see tomorrow in the next class. Okay, at the time we will end the meeting. We will see tomorrow. Bye for the day. God bless you.